Oman's Islamic banking sector is likely to take a 6 to 8% share of the market over the next 3 to 5 years, according to ratings agency Moody's. Here to speak on how Sharia compliance is developing in the Arab state is Dr Jamil El Jaroudi from Bank Nizwa. Dr Jamil, Bank Nizwa is Oman's first dedicated Islamic bank. How is Islamic finance growing in Oman, and how is this helping the country to develop?
From the legal point of view, definitely it's going faster than what we experience in other Gulf states, because it took longer time there to evolve and develop. The difference here that they've learned from previous experiences. However, on the market share, it takes a lot of time, first of all, because you are lacking still the awareness of the audience. I mean, definitely they liked that, they wanted it, but it takes some time. So the percentages of growth were not as anticipated by the studies which were made early on. On the development side, it takes time for the role of Islamic banks to appear. Today, they are taking only a share of the present market because it will be a shifting from one industry to another. However, when they get more and more involved into the core of any economy, like the SMEs, project finance, and trade finance, I'm sure it will take its position and share like any other state in the Gulf.
Well, what challenges did you face during your inauguration?
First of them was to create the awareness of the audience. It is not enough to want something, it is how to understand how this specialized industry works. Second challenge was that the regulator in general were a little bit conservative at the beginning, and that's understandable because they don't want to introduce a new body into the banking sector without knowing its implications. And the third challenge would be in creating the infrastructure, especially on the IT systems. We started from scratch, and we had to do a lot of users acceptances testing, UATs for our systems. And most importantly is to train the people, because Oman has a lot of good bankers in the conventional sector, but very few of them in new Islamic banking, because it's still a new industry.
Well, what role does Bank Nizwa play in raising awareness for Islamic banking in the country?
Basically, it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, you have to go through, first of all, continuous seminars and many conferences. We had to go through the universities because we believe also that the future is for the young generation. And we got some kind of strategic planning with the banking school in the banking college in Oman. And also we invited an international university from Malaysia, which is expert in Islamic finance, to help us in training people. And also we are relying on the media to help us in creating that awareness. And Ministry of Education, we've trained recently teachers who are going to be teaching children about Islamic finance. So it's going to be a long process.
Well, what stage is Islamic banking at compared to traditional banking in Oman?
We are only 1 year old. I mean, we are the first Islamic bank, and then we were followed by another full-fledged Islamic bank. So we were 2 full-fledged. And there are 6 conventional banks who opened windows. Still, collectively, we didn't capture on the asset side more than, if you want, 3% of the market. But if you look at the incremental between 2012 and 2013, that represents 50% of the incremental market. On the liability side, the deposits, it was 1%, representing 12% of the incremental in that year. So I'm sure in 3 to 5 years, the position of Oman will be like most of the Gulf states, between 15 to 20% of the total market will be captured by Islamic finance.
Well, the Omani government has announced that it will issue a SaqQ in 2014 to cover the budget deficit. How are you preparing for this?
We were the issuer of the first SaqQ issued in Oman for a private company before the government decided to do that. So the way we prepared ourselves, first of all, is to get a license for the investment banking, to be allowed, in addition to the retail and commercial, to do investment banking, which is the advisory services, under which you can underwrite for the SaqQ issues, which you can structure them, and later on sell them into the market. I have a very good team also specialized in SaqQ, which we did issue it in other countries, be it in Bahrain, be it in Malaysia. We are very well prepared from that angle. And we are lining up also the other Islamic banks to see that how we can play a role collectively, either through by somebody leading that or creating a syndication or strategic alliance. So we are very ready, waiting to know what are the government intentions, what type of SaqQ they want to issue, and the size we know about it now. It's going to be 200 million Omani Riyal. This is as a start. And I'm sure that will continue later on as a sequence of issuance.
Well, finally, what plans does Bank Nizwa have for expansion?
We have a policy to say that we want to walk before we run. So our objective, first of all, is to cover the Omani market as much as possible. We opened the first day with 3 branches. Today we have 7 branches after 1 year. This quarter we'll be opening another 2 branches and maybe another 4 before year end, which will allow us to, as much as possible, cover Oman geographically. However, there are alternative channels we are going to consider soon, where in certain areas you don't have to open the same type of branches. You can open what we call alternative channels like a kiosk or smaller branches, or use internet banking, telephone banking. So that will give us also access to certain cities. But the ultimate, our expansion plan is to say that we want to be a global leading Islamic bank born in Oman.
Dr. Jamil, thank you.
Thank you.